You're standing in the middle of a tire shop and the guy behind the counter is telling you that you need 4 new tires and a brake alignment. It's going to cost $1,400. In your old life, this would have been a catastrophic event. You'd feel that familiar, hot spike of adrenaline in your chest. Your mind would immediately start racing through which credit card has the most room. And you'd probably spend the rest of the day in a terrible mood, snapping at your partner because you're stressed about how you're going to pay for groceries next week. But in this version of your life, something weird happens. You don't panic. You don't even get that angry. You just sigh, pull out a debit card, and pay the bill. You have $10,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account, and while spending $1,400 of it sucks, it doesn't change your life. You still have $8,600 left. You're still safe. You walk out of the shop, get in your car with its fancy new tires, and you realize that for the first time in your adult life, an emergency was just a minor inconvenience. That silence in your head, that's what $10,000 sounds like. My name is Sam, and I spend too much time thinking about why some people stay stuck and others get free. If you want to stop being a victim of your own bank account and actually start building some real leverage, hit that subscribe button. We talk about the stuff that actually moves the needle, not the fluff. Look, here is the thing about that first $10,000. It is the hardest, most grueling, most annoying money you will ever save in your life. It feels like trying to push a literal boulder up a mountain while wearing flip-flops. Why? Because you don't have any momentum yet. When you have $0, every single thing in the world is designed to keep you at zero. Your car breaks, your rent goes up, your friends want to go to a wedding in Cabo, and the bank hits you with a $15 low balance fee just to kick you while you're down. It's expensive to be poor. But once you hit that $10,000 mark, the physics of your life actually start to change. You stop fighting against gravity and you start using it to your advantage. Let's look at the math of why the first 10,000 is such a grind compared to everything that comes after. To go from 0 to 10,000, you have to do 100% of the work. Every single cent of that 10,000 has to come from your sweat, your overtime, and you saying no to things you actually want to do. Your money isn't helping you yet, but let's look at what happens once you've done that hard work. If you have $10,000 in a decent savings account earning 5% interest in 2026, that money is making you about $41 a month just for existing. That's a free phone bill or a few weeks of groceries. Now, compare that to someone who is carrying a $2,000 balance on a credit card at 25% interest. They are paying $41 a month to the bank just for the privilege of being broke. The swing between those two people is nearly $1,000 a year in invisible money. Yet that is the difference between the wind being at your back or the wind blowing directly in your face. The psychology of this is even more powerful than the math, though. There's this concept called the locus of control. When you have $0, your locus of control is external. Life happens to you. The economy happens to you. Your boss happens to you. You are a leaf in the wind, and you're constantly terrified of a breeze. But when you have $10,000 tucked away, your locus of control shifts inward. You realize that you have a buffer between yourself and the chaos of the world. This changes the way you carry yourself. It changes the way you talk to your manager. You aren't unhealthily attached to your job anymore because you know that if they fired you tomorrow, you could survive for 3, 4, or maybe 6 months without a paycheck. That confidence usually leads to better performance, which leads to raises, which leads to more saving. It's a virtuous cycle that only starts once you cross that $10,000 finish line. Section 3 of this reality check is about the pivot. Most people think that saving money is about deprivation, about what you can't do. But $10,000 is where saving stops being about not spending and starts being about buying options. Look, here is a real-world example. Let's say a massive opportunity comes up. Maybe a friend is starting a business and needs a small partner, or a piece of equipment you need for your side hustle goes on sale for half price. If you have $0, that opportunity is just another thing to be sad about. But if you have $10,000, you can pounce. You can buy things when they're cheap instead of when you're desperate. That's the math of wealth. Poor people pay desperation prices because they have to buy things now. Wealthy people pay patience prices because they can afford to wait for the deal. That first $10,000 is your ticket into the patience club. Let's do a second math example for the long term because this is where your brain will really start to melt. If you manage to save $10,000 by the time you're 25 and you literally never add another penny to it, but you leave it in a simple index fund earning an average of 8%, by the time you're 65, that $10,000 has turned into over $217,000. Yeah, just that one $10,000 push you did in your 20s bought you $200,000 of retirement. If you wait until you're 35 to save that first $10,000, it only grows to about $100,000. That 10-year delay cost you six figures. This is why I'm being so blunt with you. Every month you spend at zero isn't just not saving, it's actively robbing your future self of massive amounts of wealth. Now, for the counterintuitive twist that catches people off guard. $10,000 is actually the most dangerous amount of money you will ever have. Why? Because it's the first time in your life you will actually feel rich. When you have $200, you know you're broke. When you have $10,000, you start thinking, man, I could really use a better car, or I deserve a really nice vacation after all this saving. This is where most people fail. They hit $10,000, they get a hit of dopamine, and they immediately spend $5,000 of it on something that depreciates. They reset their progress back to the grind phase. The trick is to realize that $10,000 doesn't make you rich. It makes you stable. You have to move the goalposts. You have to treat that $10,000 as your new zero. If your car's worth $10,000 and your bank account has $10,000, you aren't doing as well as you think you are. You're just getting started. So what should you actually do? Here is the practical takeaway. You need to treat the climb to $10,000 like a house fire. You need to get out as fast as humanly possible. This means you don't slowly save for the next 5 years. You do a spending fast. For the next 6 to 12 months, you cut everything that isn't essential. No Netflix, no eating out, no new shoes, no treat yourself Fridays. You take every extra cent and you shovel it into that account. You want to get through the friction phase of saving as quickly as you can so you can start getting to the momentum phase where the interest starts doing the heavy lifting for you. Once you hit the first 1,000, celebrate with a cup of coffee and then get back to work. Once you hit 5,000, you're going to feel the urge to slack off. Don't. That's the danger zone where you feel comfortable, but you're still vulnerable. Keep pushing until you see 5 digits in that account. Once you see that one followed by 4 zeros, I want you to take a deep breath and feel how much lighter your shoulders are. That feeling is better than any car or any vacation. That is the feeling of being the person in charge of your own life. The world wants you to stay at zero because people at zero are easy to control and easy to sell things to. When you save $10,000, you're not just saving money. You're staging a one-person revolution against a system that wants you to stay broke. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, and it's the only thing that actually matters if you want to be free. The first $10,000 is the price of admission to a life where you finally get to call the shots.